Conditional clauses, ground lesson for university and college students. Hello, welcome back. I'm Zanaba. Today we are going to learn about conditional clauses, and in this video I'm going to cover definitions about conditional clauses and conditional sentences, and also components of conditional sentences. And secondly, I'm going to give you the types of conditional clauses. So I'm going to focus on definitions, the form or structure of these each conditional clause with their examples. And so today I'm going to give you the meaning differences, how meaning changes in using the four conditional clauses. And finally, I'm going to give you an exercise. And in the exercise, you are going to identify the conditional clause types as well as the meaning of the conditional sentences. So let's start. First, we are going to talk about the definitions. Let's start from conditional clauses. Conditional clauses, sometimes they are called if clauses, and they are used when you want to talk about a possible situation and its consequence. So they express conditions or factual implications of something. Conditional sentences are statements discussing known factors or hypothetical situations and their consequences. Now let's talk about components of conditional sentences. A conditional sentence in English consists of two components or two parts. First, conditional clause. The condition clause specifying a condition or hypothesis, and that is a dependent clause. And the second part is consequence clause or result clause, specifying what follows from that condition, and it is the main clause in a sentence. Let me give some examples. In the first part of the two sentences, the if clause or the condition comes first, and then the consequence comes at the end. And the second section of the two sentences, the consequence clause comes first and the if clause comes at the end. Here the order of the clause does not change the meaning. Just let me give you the examples. If you loved me, you'd support me. If a certain condition is true, then a particular result happens. So we have used here a comma because the if clause comes at the beginning. That's why we have used the comma. In the second instance, I will tell him if I see him. The dog runs away if we leave the door open. So as you can see from these examples, the condition is there, and then the result consequence follows. That is how we use conditional sentence in English language. Now let's see the types of conditional sentences in the English language. There are four different types of conditional clause in English, and these are zero conditional clause, first conditional, second conditional, and third conditional. So each of them expresses a different degree of probability that the situation will occur or would have occurred under certain circumstances. Before we see each of them, don't forget these pointers. First, it's important to use the correct structure of each of these different conditional sentences. The reason is that they express different meanings, even for the same sentence. Secondly, pay attention to the verb tense when using different conditional modes or clauses. And thirdly, use a comma after the if clause when the if clause comes before the main clause. Now let's proceed to looking each of them one by one. First, zero conditional. Zero conditionals are used to show that something is normally true. So they express generalization or factual implications. And a further use of zero conditional is to give instructions and advice. Now let me give you the form and examples. The structure of the form is the conditional clause has got the if plus simple present tense, and the main clause uses simple present tense. Let me give you some examples. First, how we can provide generalization or factors. If the temperature falls below zero, water freezes. If you mix black with white, you get gray. If you divide 100 by 5, you get 20. So these are all factors, and they are expressed using zero conditionals. You can use zero conditional for instruction, as I've said. If you see someone in trouble, help him or her. And you can use it even for advice in the imperative form. As I've said, if you don't understand an important point in lecture, ask your instructor for clarification. So as you can see from the examples, I have underlined each verb, so they shows the tense we have used in this conditional clause. Okay, let's come to the first conditional. First conditional is used to show that there is a real possibility that an action or event can occur now or in the future. So it's sometimes called probable or possible conditional, but the reason is that the condition is possible to fulfill. The structure, if plus simple present in the conditional clause, and the main clause has got will, shall, or can with infinitive or the base form of the verb. Let me give you some examples. If I study hard, I will pass the exam. If they have time at the weekend, they will visit me. If I complete the assignment, I can watch TV with my friends later. Second conditional. Here we use this conditional type to refer to something that's less likely or unlikely to happen in the future. So it has got 50-50 probability to happen. And you can say that the condition is going to happen in theory. It's not practical. And again, we can use it to provide advice. We can use this conditional type. Let's see the form. If plus simple past in the condition clause, and then in the main clause we use would, could, should, or might plus the infinitive or the base form of the verb. Let's see the examples. If I studied hard, I would pass the exam. If there are time at the weekends, they would visit me. If I completed the assignment, I could watch TV with my friends later. The further use of this conditional type is, as I've said, is to provide advice, so you can use it in this way. If I were you, I would study carefully the grammar points which will be in the end of semester exam. Now we come to the last conditional type, this third conditional. This type of conditional is often described as impossible conditional. The reason is that it expresses an activity or event which is totally impossible to happen at this moment. That means it's too late for the condition to happen. Usually we use it to show regrets or for things that did not happen. The form of this conditional type is in the conditional clause you use if plus past perfect tense, and in the main clause you use would, could, might plus have and plus past participle. Let me give you some examples. If I had studied hard, I would have passed the exam. If they had hard time at the weekend, they would have visited me. If I had completed the assignment, I could have watched TV with my friends later. So this is how you can use the four conditional types. Now let me give you a little chat about the meaning differences that can be created with these conditional types. So you have to be careful. First, let us compare and contrast first and their conditionals. The first conditional describes a particular situation, whereas the zero conditional describes what happens in general. Look at these examples. If you sit in the sun, you get burned. So here I'm talking about every time a person sits in the sun, the burning is a natural consequence of the sitting. When you change this sentence into first conditional, the meaning totally changes here. If you sit in the sun, you'll get burned. So here I'm talking about what will happen today. Another day might be different. Now let's compare first versus second conditional. The first conditional describes things that I think are likely to happen in the future. In the vice versa, or in contrast, the second conditional talks about things that I don't think will really happen. So it's kind of subjective. It depends on my point of view. Let me give you some examples. If I have enough money, I'll buy some new shoes. The meaning of this sentence, it is much more likely that I will have enough money to buy some shoes. When changing this sentence to second conditional, the meaning again changes. If I had enough money, I would buy a house with 20 bedrooms and a swimming pool. So I'm probably not going to have this much money. It's just kind of a dream, not very real. The second example, if she studies harder, she will pass the exam. I think it is possible she will study harder, so she will pass. That is the meaning of this sentence, and when it becomes second conditional, the meaning changes again. If she studied harder, she would pass the exam. So the meaning of this sentence is, I think that she won't study harder, or it's very unlikely, and so she will not pass. When it comes to the third conditional, it talks about the past. It's used to describe a situation that didn't happen and to imagine just the result of this situation. Look, these two examples. If she had studied, she would have passed the exam. So the meaning, but really, we know she didn't study, so she didn't pass. If I hadn't eaten so much, I wouldn't have felt sick. But I did eat a lot, so I did feel sick. This will take us to the end of the session, and that's going to be an exercise. So the instruction is identify the type of conditional clause and their meaning in the following 6 sentences. What I can advise you here is pause this video, and then after you finish the exercise, try to see the answers with the explanation I'm going to provide here. Let's start with the questions. If he asks me, I'll consider his proposal carefully. If that bare electric wire, you'd get a very nice shock. If you had called me, I would have come. If you won the national lottery, you should buy a house. You get water if you mix hydrogen and oxygen. If you want to lose weight, eat less and exercise more. So these are the exercises, the questions I mean. Pause and try to work. Let me go to the answers. Here in the first sentence, I have put the verbs in the bold because based on the verbs given in the sentence, that's how you can identify the type of the conditional. So it's first conditional, and the meaning of this sentence that it's possible that he will ask me and then I'll consider. In the second sentence, the type is second conditional, so the meaning of the sentence is not be sensible for you to touch the wire either now or in the future, so probably you will not do so. Next, it is third conditional. The meaning is you didn't call me, and so I didn't come, so it's too late. Number 4, it is second conditional used to provide advice. The meaning is that is my advice, but there will be only one winner and it's unlikely to be you. 5th, it is zero conditional. It refers to it's generalized through all the time, so you'll not get anything else except water when you mix hydrogen and oxygen. Last, it is again zero conditional. Used to provide instruction. So anyone who wants to lose weight has to eat less and exercise more. That's the meaning. So this will take us to the end of our today's session. Thank you very much. Hope you like this video. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe for my videos, for more videos. And I see you next Friday. Bye for now. Bye bye.